You're listening to From Fear to Love. I'm your host, Alma Lee. I had a great sort of a meditative, well, it was meditation, not meditative. It was meditation this morning. I went out in the backyard. I took my sandals off. I took my flip-flops off, and I stepped on the cool grass, and I just did some deep breathing and listened to the birds and all the critters out there in the backyard beyond my fence. And just really took it all in and was just doing my deep breathing, being mindful in my gratitude. You know, I have this opportunity here, and it's real easy to get caught up in the things that you don't have if you're impatient like me. I'm going to drink my coffee. But this morning, I was just thinking about the motivation for what my message is today in this episode. This message that I want to deliver today is directed to the person that's listening who is struggling with that kind of self-love that, you know, that they are passive with. Like it's not something that is an internalized mechanism that feels safe. It's something that feels normal to be self-deprecating. So here's what I mean by that. Imagine, you know, you're in your kitchen, right? And you're making a meal and you accidentally spill something on the counter. Are you that person who says, God, I'm so stupid, or God, I'm a dumbass, or that was stupid of me? Things like that. Well, you might not think that's harmful. You might just be, you may have done it for so long that it just becomes, it's just a normal thing for you. And you don't see it as a problem. But here's the thing. It is a problem. Here's why. When somebody that you love and you care about, if they did that, if they were the ones that made that mistake, if they were the ones that, you know, spilled something accidentally on the counter, would you say that to them? Now, if you say, yeah, I would, well, that's probably a different podcast. That's probably a different show that we can talk about. I'm a jokester. Anybody who knows me, anybody who's in my circle knows that I have dark humor. I have a very caustic wit at times, but I share that only with my very small circle of friends because those are the people who intimately understand who I am. And I don't deliver that because it pollutes my message, because I'm a progress too. I'm a work in progress. And I don't want to be misconstrued because I want people to derive a helpful message. Are you self-deprecating? Do you talk poorly toward yourself? Why? Why do you do that? Better yet, why do you excuse it and say that it's not a big deal? It is a big deal because you wouldn't talk to your loved ones the way that you talk to yourself. So why do you do it to yourself? It's uncomfortable to have the conversation. I know this because I've had this conversation or have attempted to have this conversation with my loved ones. And it has devolved to a point where you're my friend, you're not my therapist. I can't help but be observant of the things that I know now because of my training. So when people tell me, don't be a therapist, I'm not being a therapist, but I am employing my knowledge as a means to help. And it is absolutely a part of who I am. I cannot, honestly, I could stop using the information that I've learned through my experiences with client as well as my actual training. I could do that, but then it's inauthentic because that's a part of who I am. So that's the byproduct of this podcast as well. You know, I'm talking to you here today, and I am providing support and skills and information based upon my training. But this isn't therapy. I'm just talking. It's a podcast. That's all this is. So why do you self-deprecate? Why do you think it's okay? It's not okay. It feels uncomfortable to treat yourself with kindness because you don't know how to do it because you don't think that you're worthy. That's the underpinnings. I'm just going to hit hard and fast. That is the underpinnings. The underpinnings of self-deprecating behavior is derivative of a lack of self-worth. True story. So back in the day, several years ago, I facilitated a support group for adult women who survived childhood sexual trauma. It was a really gritty group of very strong and resilient women who have been through the fires of hell. and grew up into remarkable women who were working professional, jobs and raising children, and while dealing with significant mental health conditions as a result of their childhood trauma. So this was an education support group. This was not a therapy group. And of course, if you've ever been in a group therapy setting or a group, setting of any kind, education or otherwise, you know that there are rules of the group. Well, one of the rules of our group was no children. Children are not allowed. One of my clients one of the attendees of the group, members rather, she was pregnant, and she leaned heavily on the support mechanism of the group. It helped her. It was doing a world of good for her. Well, she had her baby, and so she had asked the group if she could bring her baby, and we all agreed that as long as the baby wasn't crying and everybody was in agreement, it was okay. So she brought her newborn baby to group, and he slept. He was not a problem. He was not crying or disrupting. We called it the check-in. So, and that would take roughly 30 to 45 minutes to get everybody to actively engage in the group discussion. So we would go around the room. So we get to her, the member with the baby, and we get to her, and she's talking about something that she did or something that happened in her home. And she makes this comment. She goes, yeah, and I got really angry, and I know that was so stupid of me. And I stopped her, and I said, why would you say that? She's like, well, that's just how I am. I'm just stupid. I said, you're stupid? She goes, yeah. And she meant that. She really meant that. And I asked her a question. I said, okay. I said, let's use logic. And I said, I looked down at her baby, and I said, is your baby stupid? And this is a newborn infant, right? And she looked at me, and she's like, what? And I said, is your baby stupid? She said, no. And I could tell that she was becoming annoyed, that my question was irritating this newborn mother who is very protective. And I said, okay, how do you know? He's not talking. How do you know he's not stupid? And, and she just she goes, I don't know what you're talking about. So she's clearly on the defense now. I said, okay, here's my point. I said, you say that you're stupid. You're telling me and you're telling the group that you're stupid. Why is it so hard to think that if you're stupid, that your baby wouldn't be stupid? And the look on her face was irritation, frustration, confusion. And I looked at her, I said, here's my point. I said, you and I both know that your child is not stupid. We all know that you're not stupid. And we know your baby's not stupid. If you're so upset that someone you love is being called stupid, why on God's green earth are you referring to yourself that way? I mean, if you're stupid, wouldn't that make sense that your children are too? I'm just using logic. Is this something that you can connect with? Is this something that makes sense to you? It makes sense as far as something that you do. Here's the point and purpose. It is critical that we establish a very firm relationship based in self-love with ourselves before we engage other people. It's critical. It is critical that we identify ourselves as deserving of respect, dignity, love, connection, regard. It is important that we hold ourselves to a high standard of integrity. Because if we don't do that for ourselves, how the hell can we expect other people to do that? How can we expect other people to treat us with love and kindness if we don't do that for ourselves? We can't. We can't, because the default of human interaction is that by our behavior and how we demonstrate how we relate to ourselves, we are effectively teaching other people how to treat us. Because we are giving other people permission to see us and treat us in the same frame that we treat and see ourselves. So I'm sitting here telling you right now, I'll be damned if I'm going to be disrespected and it's not going to be checked. I might be disrespected, but then that is an establishment of a boundary on my part, because I won't tolerate it, because I know what I deserve. And it's taken me years of therapy and years of self-work to get to the point where I have established that. And here's the byproduct of that, right? And I think that that's probably part of the problem as well, is that when we demand better of ourselves and we treat ourselves better, and by default we demand better treatment from other people, that sort of evolves into holding ourselves accountable and holding ourselves to a higher standard of our own treatment. So I think that what a lot of people do is that they succumb to the lesser engagement of self because it's less responsibility. If I treat myself poorly and I don't expect a whole lot from other people and how I'm treated, they won't expect a lot from me. Yeah. You see how that works? I'm not going to treat you better because I can't treat myself better. So I'm just going to stay over here in this low vibrational state and do everything the way that I've always been doing it. And you can treat me the way that you feel you deserve, or the way I have expressed that to you. But that's no way to live. I will sort of play a mind game, if you will, with the people that are in my closest circle. When I hear them talk to themselves, they've kind of caught on to it. They don't do it so much around me now, but I think that, I've kind of pushed them to consider that internal mindset, that internal dialogue a bit. But this is the way I challenge it, is when I hear someone, a close personal friend, say something that is passively disregarding or disrespectful of self, I call it out. And I say, why do you do that? Why do you talk to yourself? Oh, it's just a joke, Alma. It's just a joke. I'm not serious. I'm like, yeah, I know that you think that you're not serious, but the fact that you're engaging in it, I mean, if you're not serious, then why don't you say that to other people? You don't. You don't say that shit to other people because you know damn well it's inappropriate. And you know damn well that you don't want to hurt somebody else's feelings, but it's okay to hurt your own feelings. So I challenge that. And then I go one step further and I make it about me. I'm like, do you really think that I would encircle myself with low level, low energy, low vibrational, low worth people? You really think that I would interact with somebody of low worth? That's the way I play that shit out, because that makes them think, because then they see it as, oh, she's made this about her. And I do, because I love my friends. And the truth is, I don't encircle myself with low level people. People who need healing, people who need to, let me counter that. People who need healing, people who are in a state of self-induced brokenness, and meaning what I mean by that is they have not taken the time to seek out a therapist to help them with what is, causing them all of this distress. When they sort of kind of languish in their own misery, I don't connect with those people personally. Not to say that they're not worth anything. They're absolutely worth everything. But kind of going back into the earlier point, I'm not my friend's therapist. I'm really not. And the people that I keep in my close circle are people that are actively engaged in their own healing. And I want you to be actively engaged in your own healing, because nobody cares about you like you. That's the truth too. Your doctor doesn't care about you. Not really. Not unless they're a close personal family friend. I mean, that's a harsh truth, but the sooner you grasp that, the sooner you will be willing to dig in and do the work that you need to do in order to live your life as fully in joy as you possibly can. Once you make the realization that you are that metric, you are the one who makes the determination on how other people will treat you, as long as you're treating yourself poorly, you are going to mirror that and attract that in the people around you. You will consistently bring in mirror images of yourself into your space as long as you have been unhealed. You have to heal. We all have crap that we need to work through. We all have stuff that has groomed us and has programmed us into a unhealthy mindset, a dysfunctional mindset, a toxic mindset for some. It is critical to be patient with yourself, to treat yourself with love and kindness, to be respectful. What do you do every day to honor yourself? How are you honoring yourself? For me, I meditate. I take time for myself. Before I pour into someone else's cup, I do something for myself because I'm worth it. Because, like that old, what was that makeup commercial? Is it L'Oreal? Because you're worth it? Free plug. But no, the truth is I am. I'm absolutely worth it. And so are you. I don't get in here and sit down at my desk behind my microphone and sit here and just spew inaccuracies, falsehoods, lies. I don't. I genuinely believe this. I know that I am worth taking care of. And I also realize that I'm responsible for taking care of myself first. You cannot move through this life not taking care of yourself, establishing through your behavior and treatment of self and enforcement of a boundary with other people on what you will and will not tolerate. This is not about kissing ass. This is not about that. This is about just a fundamental foundation for proper treatment of self. When you establish that you are going to stop, you gotta fake it till you make it. I'm a firm believer in faking it until you make it. You have to give it a try. It's gonna feel weird because you've been doing the opposite your whole life. Think of it this way. Have you ever been out shopping with your friends and your friend says, "Oh my God, you got to try this dress on. This would look wonderful on you." And it's not something that you would ever put on, but you do it because, your friend asked you to. And you go into the dressing room, you put it on. It's not what you would choose. Maybe it fits okay, but you're not really sure if you like it because it's so vastly different from anything else that you would have ever picked for yourself. And then you walk out of the dressing room and you look in the three-way mirror and you check it out and you're like, all right, it's different. I'm not sure that I like it. I'm not sure if I don't like it. And then you go and you show your friends and your friends are like, "Oh my God, this is amazing. That is so good. That's such a cute dress on you. That looks wonderful." And you're still not 100% sure about it because it just feels so weird. That's kind of the same thing. I mean, just to kind of put it into a perspective, it's kind of the same thing. It's like trying on something that you wouldn't normally try on. So that's what you need to do. You need to try this on. You need to try on a new mindset. Fake it till you make it. Put it on, look in the mirror, and then maybe identify what it is about that makes you uncomfortable. That's where you journal. Write it down. Write it down, read it, observe it, get to know it, get familiar, figure it out. Figure out why it's so uncomfortable to be kind to yourself. Why is it so uncomfortable to try something new? But it is going to feel weird. It's going to feel weird to look in the mirror and say, "I love you. I like your hair. I think your nose is perfect. I think your skin is great. You deserve to take better care of your skin. You deserve to go and get that haircut." You have to embark on some level of healing by choice. You cannot sit around and wait for a therapist, a doctor, a friend, a family member to force you into changing. You have got to come to a decision that you are worth healing. Period. Period. Period with the T on the end. Period. You have to make that decision. You have to decide that you are worth feeling better about yourself, that you are worth a better narrative, that you are worth treating yourself kindly. And then that will evolve into the proper enforcement of boundaries with other people on how you're treated. And let me tell you something about that. That shit that's some crazy stuff right there. Because once you start taking care of yourself, once you start treating yourself better, you're going to notice that your relationships with other people are going to vastly change. And that's a scary prospect. And it's probably something that keeps us stuck too, if I'm being completely honest. Because if you have toxic family members, as I have had, as most of us have had, and even toxic friends, people that we have kept close to us over the years that are not the healthiest people to be around. They're really not. And you don't have to hate these people, but you have to start deciding that you have got to commandeer how your life is going to look. Part of that is going to be the evolution of some of these relationships. They will start to dissolve just because they cannot exist in a healthier state. And that's a tough pill to swallow. But once you take that pill and once you swallow it and once you move into that newness, the healthier, you will start to attract new people into your space. You will start to pull new relationships that are conducive to your healing. Those relationships will absolutely encourage your personal, spiritual, emotional, mental health growth. All of these things, all of these evolutions are normal, natural, expected. They need to happen. It's all about living your life joyfully, living your life with purpose, holding yourself accountable for making good decisions. And it starts with you. Treating yourself poorly, acting badly, those are all excuses. It's excuses to stay stagnant. It's an excuse to stay where you are. You don't want to stay where you are. I know you don't want to stay where you are because you're listening to this podcast right now. You wouldn't be listening to this podcast if you didn't want to improve your life in some capacity. You're worthy. And you got to just do it, even if you don't believe it. You got to fake it till you make it. You might not believe that you're worth anything. You might not believe that you deserve to change at all. If you can just suspend your disbelief for a moment, as soon as this podcast ends, when you get done doing whatever you're doing right now that's allowing you to listen, next time you look in the mirror, give yourself a compliment. It really is that simple. Just decide. And then to tell you, you know what I'm getting ready to tell you. You've got to journal. Write that shit down. Seriously. Get out a notebook, write it down. I looked at myself in the mirror today and said that I love my hair, but I don't love my hair. I think my hair is ugly. I don't like the color. It's short, it's frizzy, it's curly, it's straight. I don't like the texture. I've never liked my hair. I have a cowlick. It doesn't lay right. I can't get it to look good. Or your skin, or you need to gain or lose weight, or whatever point that you do not like that causes you distress about yourself. I'm shy. I'm loud. I'm gregarious. I'm reserved. Whatever. Write that down. Identify what it is you do or do not like about yourself, what you find to be truthful, untruthful. What do you want to heal? And give yourself that time to practice that, to process that, to look at it, to identify it, to get to know yourself. Dig in, pay attention, meditate. Do the things that you haven't been doing. Do the things that you have been avoiding. It's scary. I know that. I know it's scary. The unknown always is. The unknown is always going to be scary. I'm just here to tell you that whatever you do in a positive frame of mind will absolutely manifest in your life as something reciprocal that is equally positive. You throw a tennis ball on a wall, what are you going to get back? You're going to get a tennis ball. It's going to come right back to you. Put forth positive energy. Start with yourself. Determine what your worth is when you talk to other people. Let them know by how you treat yourself. We teach people how to treat us. Treat yourself better. Love you guys. From fear to love. This has been an LBM production. Please like, subscribe, and share this show. Thanks for listening.